Class is in session. College basketball hitting the book show Tuesday, November 11th. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack with you, ready to break down a Tuesday in college basketball. A very good slate. That's why we picked Tuesday as the day to do the show this week. Once again, a pretty good slate, some solid games on tap. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Matt Hickey, I love that comment from him in the YouTube chat. Who else is ready to make 100-plus units over the next couple months, tailing Ian and Connor? We hope so. From your lips to God's ears, as they say.
Hey,
let's hope for it.
I like that. But I think everything will goes into more here once we get out of November, I think, college basketball. It's just consistently doing this, Babano, it's just more and more disappointing to me starting. I just want to see more. I don't know. Maybe not for you, but God, more and more every year. I love to wait, especially like December, and then get going and rolling. But that's just me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's for me. I actually find I get off to good starts because you put in a lot of work and time and reading and all this stuff.
Yeah. I've had plenty of that. I mean, this year I haven't had a ton. I'm probably 500 to tell you the truth, but I haven't bet a ton of games. But
which is okay too. Like I said, there's some people that prefer just getting a lay of the land, seeing each team play, a couple of games, and get involved a little bit more and get a little more of an idea of what to expect, and who's playing fast, who's playing good on offense, or the back guard play good as their size on teams. Like there's
exactly
you got to get
because there's so much movement now. Everyone just transfer.
Yes,
it's just like everyone's gone from everywhere. And I mean, it always was crazy, even in college basketball, when guys used to stay, and then there kind of was the only one and done's the guys that went to the pros. You know what I mean? Like those type guys. So even 10 years ago it was all right, but it's here. I love college basketball. So
by the way, we're going to start. I thought of this, and I'm sure CMAC, you're cool with this. We're going to do on the college, because we obviously aren't breaking down. There's no way in a million years we're breaking down every game. What we're going to do is we always pick usually a slate of games where we're going to call it the starting five on every show moving forward, where I'm going to handpick 5 games that stand out as, marquee games or the main event spotlight games of the night that we will talk about regardless of whether we have a strong opinion on it or not. And then we'll open up the floor after that to the rest of the games and any bets that we like for the remainder of the card. So we're going to call it the starting 5. 5 games on the slate that we deem, they're the big games. We should talk about them, even if we don't have a strong opinion or didn't have a strong bet on them. And the first one I picked was Dayton and Cincinnati. This is a good in-state battle. We've got Cincinnati 5.5, 6.5 point home favorites, 148.5 the total in this game. I'm on the points with Dayton in this game. They are, to me, with Anthony Grant as the head coach. We've seen his teams, especially last year, they weren't an underdog very often, but when they were outstanding, catching points in the underdog role. They should be a pretty solid defensive team this year, Dayton. And the one thing we know with Dayton and most teams is that when you play defense, it can often travel a little bit. Cincinnati does have a good amount of talent back, but I've been impressed with what I've seen from Dayton on the defensive end of the court. Both teams look kind of lackluster in their last game, which makes you think, who maybe kind of looking ahead a little bit to this one. But when you factor in that Dayton can, play some pretty solid defense, they're not going to let Cincinnati have a ton of clean, open looks the way they play on that end of the basketball court. I think being able to get them at 6.5 here as a dog is definitely points worth taking. Probably lean a little bit to the under there in that game. But C-Mac, do you have any strong opinion or any thoughts there, Dayton and Cincy?
No, not really. I looked at Dayton. I mean, I want to somehow be on them. We've talked about for a long time the Cincinnati team at times been a little bit better, but they've been a bad free throw shooting team. Just laying points consistently. It's been a little bit of a grind for a team that hasn't been really great offensively, that leans on their defense a little bit too. So, and this is a little bit of a rivalry here. Dayton, I'd be on the points. Flat out, I take the points. Points or nothing. Shout out to Saturated, my man. Appreciate you.
One of our favorites. Yeah, just saw him in the chat and on our NBA show, NBA OG Crew betting show with Ski, Dutch, and Wham. He's a frequent daily viewer of that. Good to see him in our chat. And a member. Become a member. Just like follow Saturated's lead become a member here of the Hitting the Books YouTube channel, because as a member of the YouTube channel, you also They're going to have access to our show tomorrow and Friday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Members-only editions of the Hit Sports Show coming your way both tomorrow and Friday. So shout out to anyone that becomes, and Nuke Worker, of course, one of our favorites as well. Shout out to Nuke Worker as well.
Okay.
Two of our favorites. Like, these are not just two viewers; these are two pillars
Yes.
of the content that we have done all these years, following us and supporting us every step of the way. So we appreciate it
guys.
very much.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, our second game for the starting five. I decided to pick this one. This is a pretty good game. It's probably the game of the night, one of Kentucky and Louisville. It's obviously an in-state battle here. We've got Louisville, 5.5, 6-point home favorites, 173.5 the total. I like the over, but everybody does. That's the problem. It should be high scoring. Both teams are going to play fast. There's no question. The two coaches, Kelsey and obviously Mark Pope. When you look at this Kentucky team, they're a very good team as far as inside-outside scoring balance. Louisville, obviously, looking to push, and I think should be able to get their share of points as well. Both teams, certainly in transition, have the opportunity to kind of get you. We've seen series history be high-scoring. The last two meetings with Kentucky versus Louisville, hell, we got 178 last year in the game between these two teams. Kentucky winning 93-85 last December. 178 as far as total points. So when this opened 166.5, 167, I thought, you know what? You could make a damn good case this should be in the 170s. So I agree with the move up in the total. I like the Wildcats here, +6. It is revenge for Louisville because they lost last year, but I like this Kentucky team quite a bit. Louisville's going to be really good too, but I think it's a close one. The Kentucky getting the points is the way I would go as far as the side in this one. C-Mac, what do you think here? ESPN has this one, Kentucky, Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, this is 3.5. This goes to 6.5 even. Fuck, I don't buy it. I don't buy Louisville. I just think these teams are too similar as well. I mean, we saw the turnaround a little bit with Louisville last year, and from how kind of bad it was the few years before that. But they're both going to play fast, like you talked about. Push the pace. Talk about some teams not playing defense. We were talking in the back. Kind of makes me go crazy. I know you love overs, so which I do if you have my money on it. But yeah, up and down, up and down. This should be right around that total, I think. But I had to say, when these teams play all the time, Kentucky normally beats them. I mean, Louisville's won a couple in the last 10 to 12 meetings. By 2 points, won by 3 points here?
Yep.
It was a few years ago, 2020. Louisville won 62-59. Usually good games. I worry about Kentucky a little bit, their defense and kind of how they play here. But this is just, I'm shocked it's moved this much to Louisville. There's a lot of love for them here.
There is a lot of love. Now, they got Pryor, I should point out as well, just back against Jackson State. This is a guy that's missed over about a year. He got injured early in the season in the battle for Atlantis last year. And he's certainly going to help to stabilize that backcourt for Louisville, no question about that. But I think you could say the same thing about Louisville. I know Kentucky, defensively there's question marks too. One thing too to note with Kentucky is, they're a pretty good balanced team. And they are a team that's going to be able to also, I think, not only score from 3-point range outside, but be able to maybe do some damage inside. And I think that could be where they have a little bit of an advantage over Louisville. I think Louisville's got to prove to me that front court can match what Kentucky can throw at them. So, like I said, I think Kentucky plus the points over the total. I like both of those as far as this game.
I get it. Plenty of talent on this court.
No, it should be a great game, no doubt. I already gave Saturated because he gave a big dono on the NBA show, and he asked me to give analysis on this game, and I did. But I'm going to just quickly reiterate it here. Texas Tech and Illinois, this is clearly one of the bigger games tonight. This is the third game of our starting five here on this edition of Hitting the Books. We've got Illinois 4-point favorites here in this matchup, the total sitting at 168. Again, this is another one where I get why it's being bet over the total. When you look at Illinois, certainly under Brad Underwood, we know what we're going to get. We're going to get transition basketball. We're going to get pace. We're going to get certainly a lot of that. We've seen it so far from Illinois. I think what's interesting about Texas Tech is here's another example of a team playing faster than they have in the past. And that is, again, what we're seeing here with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Their possessions per game numbers have gone up early in the season. and this is happening a lot, certainly with a lot of teams throughout the college basketball world here early in the season. But same thing here for Texas Tech, looking to get up and down the basketball court a little bit more, even though Grant McCasland, the head coach, is a guy that usually, wants to play a little bit slower and rely more on that half-court style and defense. And yet here's Texas Tech running and gunning more than they have. So you understand why the total's gone up here, 168. I don't know if I'd bet it now with the total being where it is at 168. As far as the side goes, we're talking about a little bit of a rejigged Illinois roster. And I know they looked pretty good in their first couple games. But again, you have to treat those kind of like exhibition games. It's not like you were overly tested, Illinois, in those first couple matchups they played. This team
113 points, both games.
Yeah, no doubt. But now you're playing a Texas Tech team that certainly, from an athleticism standpoint, size perspective, going to really be a tall order and a test here for Illinois compared to obviously Florida, Gulf Coast, and Jackson State. The first two opponents here for this Illinois team. I think one thing you also factor in here going into this one is just how impressive JT Toppin, should be this year for them. And he made his season debut the other night, and he didn't look one bit out of place for the Red Raiders. 31 points in that game. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But like I said, I think Texas Tech will be a handful, in my opinion, here for this Illinois team. I like Christian Anderson as well at the backcourt for Texas Tech. This guy has been a walking bucket here early in the season for Texas Tech. They've also got a little bit more perimeter firepower than we've seen from the last year or two, I think, for Tech. So I think they're going to be able to be a little bit of a better three-point shooting team this year as well. So I took the +4 here with Texas Tech. I think this is going to be a great game to watch. I mean, I think, would Illinois winning shock me? No, absolutely not. But I just think the idea of getting 4 in what could easily be a 1 or 2 possession game down the stretch is appealing to me. CMAC, what do you think here, Texas Tech, Illinois?
Yeah, it's like maybe 2 with these totals. It's like you got to get past all these early games. Maybe get to conference, as we always talk about, till maybe a little bit slowing down. Who knows? Texas Tech, another just over team dating back to last year to end the year, ripped off a bunch of overs. I was a little bit worried. I mean, I think they have enough talent because we talked about this, I think, even last week with Toppin. How good he is. I mean, that Anderson kid could be pretty good shooting the ball, guard that they have. And on the other side, Illinois. I mean, I want to see more. I mean, you talked about just some easy wins. They're here at home. They got a few guards that I was watching in those games. Boswell, Wagler. They can have some big games.
Yep.
So, yeah, I have nothing here. This is just watch.
Yeah,
watch and see. No bet for me here.
No, there's no doubt. Merkovich, like I said, we'll have to watch for him.
He's
praises of him. He is certainly a physical specimen, without question, for Illinois, no doubt. Like I said, you mentioned it with Kyle and Boswell. They've got their usual array of scores that can make a difference, can make shots for them. Hummerchitz, Ben Hummerchitz, definitely coming back as well. 15 points he's averaging. So, like I said, Illinois. Two good teams, like I said. But I just like the idea of a defensive-minded squad like the Tech with McCasland. This is no slight on Underwood, because Underwood's a pretty good coach. Did a good job at Stephen F. Austin's. Done a good job here at Illinois, no doubt.
Good enough. You think?
I would, if you asked me, I'd said which guy would you rather have as your coach? I'd be honest. I'd take McCasland. I just would, and that's not a slight on Underwood. It's just you can't take both of them. I would go with McCasland. I think he's really, really strong. He emphasizes a little bit more on the defensive end of the court, and I think that's what tilts it, to me at least, a little bit in his favor. But that's a great game. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. All right, our fourth game on the starting 5 is Memphis and Ole Miss down in Oxford. We've got Ole Miss 10-point home favorites, 152 the total in this game. This is always, if you're going to back Memphis, when you back them. You don't lay points with them, you take points with Ole Miss and Penny Hardaway. That's basically been the way it's been, these last few years. And I wouldn't necessarily argue with that. I don't know at the moment how good, this team is going to be. No question, Memphis. But, certainly we're impressive against San Francisco over the weekend, because I took San Francisco plus the points. I love fading Memphis when they're laying points, but Memphis played well in that game. 76-70 win. They actually slowed it down and played a little defense, Memphis, in that game, which
Stop
you
it.
always get from them. But are we going to see it continue here moving forward is going to be the question. Let's be honest. You're going on the road now to face, an Ole Miss Rebels team that should be pretty good once again this season. Going to be a challenge here, I think, for Memphis as they renew acquaintances here in this one. One thing about Memphis here is, or Ole Miss rather, obviously Chris Beard's done a nice job here. There's no denying that whatsoever. They've got a lot of transfers, guys that Beard was able to bring in. AJ Storr from Kansas is a guy that could be a big-time difference maker here for this Ole Miss team, and we're already seeing his offense on display early in the season, no question about it. Apparently, Memphis, with this new roster that Memphis has, like I said, that would be the biggest concern for me here in this game. And clearly, I think it's what people see in betting Ole Miss up from where they opened. I think it was 8 all the way up to 10, even 10.5 out there right now. People are really concerned that going on the road against an Ole Miss team that's got a little bit more in the experience department and a Memphis team with a totally new, talented, because Penny Hardaway is always able to bring in talented players, but still a totally revamped Memphis Tigers roster. Is that chemistry gelling quickly enough? It's one thing to beat San Francisco at home with the brand new roster and a revamped team. It's a different animal to now go on the road, Oxford, Mississippi, against a much tougher team, Ole Miss, and be able to play at that level again. So, but at the same time, CMAC, I don't want to lay this many points with Ole Miss in this game. So I guess if you made me choose at 10 or better, I'd maybe a slight lean to Memphis, but this is more of just a watch type of game for me and enjoy what should be a pretty interesting game here between these two teams. CMAC, what do you think here, Memphis, Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, do you buy Ole Miss and kind of all this that this team has? Like we're touching on. I mean, just some easy wins here to start out. Will they beat Monroe by 21? You talked about Storr, but this team is pretty deep. I mean, they're going to play like 8 or 9. It looks like, at least for
they
now.
got a bench and they have guys they trust on that bench.
They got a bunch of guys here for Beard, and we'll see how they are defensively. Like, I think that's the biggest key. At times, like last year, they were really good, but then they weren't in other games, which isn't easy, especially in conference play and SEC play. So I don't know what we get from Memphis. They're athletic. I don't know what we get. This is a bunch of points in this game. Already Barry's been pretty good, and Parker. This team, I never trust them defensively at all. So I don't know, but you're catching 10 here. I'd lean that way.
All right, our fifth and final game here in the starting 5, a brand new segment that we're going to do this year, college basketball. Starting 5, the 5 biggest games or 5 of the most marquee games of the night, and this is clearly a game that deserves to be in the starting 5. Creighton and Gonzaga. We've got Gonzaga 11.5-point favorites, 165.5 the total in this game. Obviously, Mark Few and Gonzaga, especially, this is a true home game for Gonzaga. This is at the Kennel in Spokane, so that can be a pretty tough place, obviously, to play. When you look at Gonzaga, in their first 2 games, they played Texas Southern, won that game and covered, and then pretty much a wire-to-wire victory against Oklahoma. That was really impressive because Oklahoma is a solid team. Well, Porter Moser, of course, still there. And for them to get out to a 49-30 halftime lead and pretty much coast from there, very impressive. Oklahoma really struggled from three-point range in that game, 6 for 26, 23%. That really hurt as far as them being able to maintain contact with Gonzaga. One thing for sure with this Gonzaga team, just every year you see them lose some components. This year they kind of lost components in the backcourt. But you got Adam Miller, you've got Braden Huff, you bring in Tyon Grant Foster, of course, who had a great run at Grand Canyon. It's almost like you just find those pieces elsewhere to replenish and refuel this roster, and Gonzaga and Mark Few have become masters at doing that. Graham Ike, the big man, is still
there. That guy,
this guy's going to be in college basketball forever. It feels like right now. So, look, I get it. It's like they look like they're not going to be taking too many steps back, if any, Gonzaga, if you look at the first 2 games. But this is a very solid, skilled Creighton team. It's also a Creighton team I think could be a little play the more perimeter, guard-oriented style of basketball. Remember, they ran everything through Kalkbrenner, or not everything, but you know what I mean. Kalkbrenner was such a big component of their offense, and they would run sets through him down in the paint area and the low post. This year, I think it's going to be more of a three-point shooting, guard-centric Creighton operation this year, and I think we're going to see signs of that early. So, and Creighton, again, they haven't really been tested so far. They had the one game, and it was against South Dakota, and it was kind of an ugly, sloppy performance, 92-76. They really did not sniff a point spread cover, laying 29.5. They really didn't get close to that. So I think some people see that and think, hey, this team's just primed to get bombed here by this Gonzaga team that's already faced a pretty solid, capable, quality opponent in Oklahoma and beat them pillar to post, start to finish. So let's lay 11.5 here with Gonzaga. I'm stopping just a little bit short of that because the one thing I think Creighton can do, score the basketball. I think they are going to be a little bit vulnerable defensively early in the season. We kind of saw that in the game against South Dakota, where they were giving up, some buckets there at that end of the court. But this is still a team that can shoot. And this is a team that and I know we always talk about this with, and it's something you want to factor into your handicap. You're talking about free throw shooting. There is a major discrepancy early in the season at the free throw line between these teams. Creighton, 90.9%. Now, it's just a one-game sample, so you can't really get too carried away with only one game under their belt. But still, this has always been a good free throw shooting team pretty much under
they're pretty good.
Greg McDermott, the head coach. They're 90.9% free throw shooting. Gonzaga, through their first couple games, they're shooting only 68.8% from the free throw line as a team. That's something you got to consider when you're talking about laying 11.5. That, free throw shooting is part of the process to lead you to put up points and cover numbers like this. And Creighton has a sizable advantage as far as their free throw shooting percentage is concerned. So mild lean to Creighton. I just think the number's gotten a little bit too high on the Gonzaga side, just based on the Oklahoma win, as impressive as it was. And keep in mind, again, the Creighton advantage at the free throw line is something you don't want to lose sight of. So I lean Creighton. Obviously, this is another one where it should be a lot of points. Both teams are going to push pace, no doubt. But 165.5 is not what it was. So if you're betting over now, you're not getting the number you could have, as this opened at 161.5. CMAC, what do you think here? This is a good one in the late night hours. Creighton, Gonzaga.
Shout out to our guy, Jay Peasy. My guy. Dodgers.
For the dono. Appreciate it. Yep. $5 dono. Yep.
Okay, Jay Peasy. Yeah, I'm going to wait here. I just think it's early for this Creighton team to kind of figure out their offense. Do you want to take them here? It's almost like, I think they could maybe cover this number, especially if they're hot from three. Yeah. I mean, you talked about the free throws as well. And they have a bunch of guys that are going to shoot them, in this lineup. So Graves, all these guys, McAndrew, they still have Freeman here, a few others. So I can't do it. I want to look to them as the year goes on a little bit. I think they get better and better as they kind of find their way in this offense. And do I trust them defensively? No. I mean, they just gave up 76 to South Dakota.
Yes, and South Dakota scored way too frequently and way too easily. And maybe we should heed this, because there was this one quote I saw out of Greg McDermott. And that's a big reason why. As much as I'm tempted to take the points, I don't really love it. I am worried about this matchup and going, all the way to the Pacific Northwest. But when the coach comes out and says we have a lot of work to do with this team, obviously that's not what you want to hear going on the road against Gonzaga.
Yeah, definitely not.
No.
And this team, I think, is pretty loaded, this Gonzaga team, with a bunch of talent. So, yeah, line's right. I will be watching it, and fuck it. Yeah, if I find something live, I'll be all over it, late night here. My favorite West Coast late night basketball.
This could be a game, too, where let's say Creighton starts out a little surprisingly good and Gonzaga maybe a little bit sluggish after, rolling Oklahoma, which is possible. Maybe they take Creighton a little, not for take them for granted, thinking maybe, hey, Creighton just struggled in their first game. This is going to be easy after the way we played against Oklahoma. And if you can get Gonzaga adjusted live in game at a better number, if they start slow, that might be something to look at too. Because the one thing we
Yeah,
see from
Creighton's hot
Gonzaga, yeah,
early.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Oh yeah.
Gonzaga has been down before at home, and but man, I can't. I've lost track of how many times I've seen Gonzaga start slow and still come back, win the game, and maybe even cover the original number with a big second half.
Yeah.
They've done this before so many times. So if they start slow, Gonzaga, they could be a good live betting situation here in this game tonight. All right, CMAC, the floor is yours. The rest of the Tuesday slate, what games do you want to mention, and games that you like, games that you think are worth betting?
Yeah, I'll rip through mine quick. Also, everyone that is members, always hit us with the questions if we don't hit on the game.
Yep.
Just throw it in here at the end. We could touch on it real quick. Even if we're not betting it, we can just run through it real quick. There's a few games here, like in the late night. Do I trust enough? I love this Sacramento State team last year, and I think they're really good, pretty good. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't take them here. Get to Santa Barbara. I wanted to. I've been going through all this shit all day here, on these fucking games. It takes a lot of fucking time to go through these goddamn things to find some shit here. So that was one that was close for me. One other one was Coastal Carolina +3. It's actually gone most places 2.5 at home. I thought this was a pretty good spot for them. A team that I haven't bet a lot. If I do, it's been at home. But that was a lean for me there. I think more, if you look at this game, Hampton, Virginia, I think you take under. I think they're just too high here. I don't know how. And I even like the team total. It's a little dicey, 63.5 team total under for Hampton. Like, it could go right in that area. I don't know if they break 60. So under there, their team total under was a game that I liked. And that was about it. You got anything else? The UNLV game, UNLV bounced back, scored a bunch of points. I still don't. I want to see this UNLV team more because I don't know how good they are. But Montana hasn't looked great early in their couple games because this is kind of I think they could hang a little bit with UNLV. So what did you think of that, Montana?
Yeah,
UNLV?
I took Montana. Now they didn't. Look
Yeah,
good
I don't blame you. Yeah.
They didn't look good against Stanford, but I don't think, like I said, this is a UNLV team that I don't think Chattanooga is anywhere close to being as good this year as they were last year either in that 101
Man, they gave
victory.
Yeah. Ton of points.
They're down. So I don't give UNLV as much credit. Like, Chattanooga's down this year. I don't give UNLV as much credit for that win as some people think. This is still a team that lost to UT Martin as a double-digit favorite, and I think Montana's capable of being competitive here. So I'm with you on the +10.5 on Montana in that game. I do think is worth a bet there in that one. As far as mine are concerned, I'm gonna just try to stick to a few. I mean, I've got more bets than probably what I'll mention here. But I'll just try to go through. I mean, Penn Providence has gone up the total. Those teams are both playing so much faster. Kim English and Providence, I can't believe it. They're another team. It's like, whoa, they're playing warp speed now all of a sudden. Providence never used to play that way. Now they do. So, like I said, I think that one's an over that I like. I laid Clemson. Clemson looks very impressive early on. I think they might be able to drill Morehead State. I took Florida State plus the points against Florida. The over as well, but the over now is 180.5, big number. But Florida 0-2 against the spread. The point spread tax is in full effect for the defending champions. They haven't covered a number yet. Florida State's playing a lot faster with Luke Laux, the new head coach. I think they have the chance to stay inside a big number like that against Florida State. Florida State's a team that's still Florida, I should say, still a very formidable team in the front court. They brought back so much of their size down low, but that backcourt is starting over for Florida. And they've run into, they could run into some turnover issues based on the way, Florida State gets that ball pressure going. So Florida State plus the points, it's just a big number. I think they can hang inside it. I do it like that over. And I like, my big 5 rivalry games in the Philadelphia area. Yeah. I always like taking the dog in those games. And I did that there. I like LaSalle +7 against Temple. I think, and LaSalle's covered both of their games so far this year. I think the Explorers, actually, the arrow might be pointing up on them. You look at the last 2 meetings, LaSalle and Temple. 2 years ago, Temple won by 6 in overtime. It was 7, I should say, in overtime. It was a very close game. And then LaSalle beat them last yead-to-head. So Temple's had their hands full with LaSalle each of the last 2 years. So I like LaSalle. They're getting 6.5, 7 in that game. Couple more. I laid it with DePaul. DePaul looks like they could be pretty finally a little bit better this year, and I definitely think that Buffalo is a team that probably is not going to be that great, that spectacular in the MAC, up and down. Obviously, have fallen off a little bit since 3 years ago. I think DePaul's got the chance to maybe run away with that one, so I laid the 19 there with the Blue Demons. I think a very live dog, not only to cover as double-digit dogs tonight, but maybe even win outright. I've been so impressed. Now, again, this is going to be a little bit tougher opponent now, but I really like what I see the potential for Murray State. And Murray State's getting 10.5 against SMU. They're playing a lot quicker under Ryan Miller. They've got inside-outside scoring balance. They're, again, all over the basketball. They pressure you as well, every inch of the basketball court. And one thing Andy Enfield has said, going back to before the season started, about his SMU Mustangs team is how young they were, how inexperienced they were, how it's going to take time for SMU to become the team they want to be. I'm going to put that to the test here, that Murray State can go to Dallas there and hang tough in that game. So I'm on the Racers. I've been on the over in both Murray State games as well this year, noting how much faster they were going to play. So the over I'm on as well, but I like the side even more in that game against SMU. I'm taking the plus 10.5 there with Murray State to make it a competitive game against SMU in that one. And a couple others just in brief here. New Mexico, big fan of New Mexico, big fan of their hire as head coach, laying a big number against Riverside. I think that they're worth a look there, laying the big number in that game. Another over, too, is Sacramento State. Sacramento State's another team playing much, much quicker than they did last year. Saturated, I'm with you there. Kansas laying 27.5 against Corpus Christi. Absolutely. Coming off the loss to North Carolina and the big game on Friday. That Peterson kid, Darren Peterson, man, he's going to be something special for Kansas. I mean, I know it was in a losing cause, but I was very impressed at what I saw from him in that first game with the Jayhawks the other night. And like I said, he's going to be a player to watch throughout the season. It feels like it's a good bounce back spot for Kansas to lay the number there in that game. So that one I definitely like. I think Nick Alvento had a question in the, Navy. I took Navy plus 11.5 against Penn State. Navy, we talked about this, I think, just previously, that returning production and returning minutes, they're right there among the top teams in college basketball as far as experience coming back. And Penn State is starting kind of over. Mike Rhodes has talked about how young they were and new faces, new players, and it's going to take time to gel. And I think Navy, even though, a little bit of a concern about, on the road against a team that might have an athleticism advantage over you, Navy will play their asses off because they're coming off a bad game against Yale, but Yale's very good. Before you overreact to Navy getting blown out by Yale, Yale's going to be very good this year. I think Penn State's got enough concerns, especially with who's going to handle the basketball for them, that Navy can stay inside that number. So I like Navy plus 11.5. And don't forget what today is, guys. Remembrance Day in Canada, Veterans Day in the U.S. You would think a team like Navy, hey, you're going to play with a little extra emotion here, taking the court tonight for Veterans Day against Penn State. So I like Navy to hang around plus 11.5 there.
Yeah, I looked at there are some massive lines. I don't mind the New Mexico. I had them last week. They just got the cover for me. Like, I don't know, a point or two there. And these lines are huge. So, and some of them I'm like looking to it to try to get a first half team total like Kansas. I mean, they're just, they're like 43 points and they're 94 points. Like, it's like, man, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be efficient and probably kick the shit out of these small schools. But I'd rather watch. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah,
most of them.
Nick, I keep thinking Wake Forest is a little bit better than they've shown so far, but they are 0-2 against the spread in that game. That's at Little Caesars Arena, by the way, home of the Red Wings and the Pistons. So that is not a true on campus at Chrysler at the Chrysler Center there in Ann Arbor. That game is a neutral court.
I like Michigan, but I don't want only 15. Do you?
Not that many.
15.5.
Actually,
this has moved to them. A lot of money on Michigan.
The over is what makes sense to me, but again, you're not getting the number I got. I got 164, and I didn't even get the best of the number. Think about it. I got 164. It opened lower than that, and even after I bet it, it's gone up to 168.5 since then.
These totals are like, eyeballs are like.
Well, what do you know why? The defenses aren't great yet, and everybody's flying up and down the court and playing fast.
Yes.
I mean, that's what's doing it. That's what's causing all these totals to go up. Yeah,
these are really high, though.
Yeah, it is. They are.
I can't wait for a little bit of defense, a little missed shot action.
Yeah, let's run the shot clock a little bit, too, will you please? I mean, we're waiting for some of that, too. All right. Anything in the added board? I took Central Connecticut against Boston. Is Boston College really good enough to be laying 18? And Central Connecticut was one of the better teams in the NEC conference last year.
They could actually cover that number, maybe.
I think it's too many points for Boston College. They just don't do anything well enough.
They don't do nothing
well enough. They don't, defensively that comes and goes for them. And Central Connecticut, I think that's a lot of points to be given that team. So I think they're worth a look there in that one. What else did I was looking at? Yeah, kind of a Radford spot maybe against North Carolina, just a little bit off the big win against Kansas. So Radford Highlanders plus 20.5 sprinkled on that. I like this Bucknell Bison team, and I don't know if Princeton is a vintage Princeton this year. So the Bucknell Bison, they're getting 5.5 against Princeton. I took a dabble on that as well. I laid it with High Point against Jacksonville. That looks like it's going to be a very good High Point team, and I'm not sure Jacksonville is going to be able to trade points with them for 60 minutes, given their offensive concerns coming into the year. Kind of a buy low spot for me on Tarleton State. They kind of got their asses handed to them in a couple of games against SMU and LSU last week, and now they return home.
Home. Okay. This is where you want to back him.
Yeah.
Telling you, Babano.
Yeah.
I know it's laying points, this is where you want to back them flat out. This team, I know them like crazy. I know you got to lay 5.5. I looked at that.
Yeah, I do like it. Like I said, it's not one of my biggest bets of the night, but I took minus 4.5 there with Tarleton State against Merrimack as they return home for that one. Queens in the over against Duquesne. I think that could be a few too many points. I think Queens is going to be a nice little underdog this year. Going to be able to cover some point spreads in that role this year, and I think they can do that on the road against Duquesne. I think Maryland Eastern Shore is that freaking terrible, so I laid 36 right on the nose with Nebraska against Maryland Eastern Shore. I think that could be an absolute bludgeoning by the Cornhuskers there in that game. And the last one I will give you, it's the last game on the added board, Austin P. Wyoming. I mean, no wonder C-Mac's frustrated. Wyoming, we could always count on them to be a little bit of a slow-paced, defensive-minded team, and now they're up and down the court, too. Like, their pace numbers, it's ridiculous. Let me throw this at you, because I like the over there, Austin P. And Wyoming. Wyoming last year, do you know how many possessions per game they played? 67.2. Do you know how many possessions per game they're playing so far this year? 85. 85 on 18 possessions per game more increase for Wyoming this year. I mean, that's insanity. 18 possessions more per game on average. Wow. Another team that's just trying to score as early in the shot clock as they possibly can. And we've seen it play out that way with Wyoming. The pace numbers and suddenly their game's starting to feature many more points. So, yeah, I took that one. 154.5 is the current number there with over in Austin P. and Wyoming. So there you go.
Beautiful.
Shout out to everyone in the chat before we wrap it up and give you best bets. Tony the Tiger Hunter, Saturated, Nuke Worker. Appreciate all of you. Team Moss 7, Plug Boy 8339, Nick Alvento, Les Man, Andrew G. We thank everyone for joining us here. All Distraction, Good DZ4HK, Jorge Herrera, Steven Jackson, Matt Hickey. Thank you very much for joining us here on this college basketball Hitting the Book show. One thing I want to point out, too, is that the new members, and we have a couple, and anyone that wants to become a member, we have members only Hitting the Book shows tomorrow on Wednesday and Friday, every week at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. So get on board.
Friday, football edition, too. NFL.
Oh, yeah, we preview the whole NFL weekend. Give you all our NFL looks for Sunday and Monday night as well on the Friday show. So that's definitely one you don't want to miss. So Wednesdays and Fridays, members only Hitting the Book shows for our YouTube channel members. So 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, both Wednesday and Friday. All right, C-Mac, let's get this wrap this thing up and wrap it up as always with best bets. C-Mac? What do you got for your Tuesday best bet?
My best bet, I already took it. I took Kentucky plus 6.5. I think this team's good enough to be in this game. Maybe even win it, but I'll take the 6.5. Kentucky.
I'm going with an underdog too. Murray State plus 10, actually plus 11 is out there.
Racers.
Still, a couple books. The Racers. I think we're going to race to a point spread cover at SMU. I'm going to believe what Andy Enfield's saying. His team's going to need some time. They haven't covered a point spread yet. Murray State's looked really good, and I think they've got enough in them to make a competitive game on the road tonight. So Murray State plus 11 against SMU for my best bet for this Tuesday.
Also, by the way, I got a 7. I'm on the island. I don't think anyone wants Kent State, but I'm on them. Everyone likes Akron. Fuck them. Give me the 7. We talked about that on
college football.
yesterday.
You mean? Yeah.
College football. I'm just throwing it out there.
MAC games tonight. I don't have a strong feel for the games. I do lean Kent State, lean to the over in the Akron game, lean to the under in the Ohio and Western Michigan game.
Yes,
and Ohio, but Western Michigan, I respect their defense and they're at home. So like I said, I'm not fading Ohio. I think they're overall a little, especially on offense and quarterback, better than Western Michigan. But that Western Michigan defense is pretty damn good. So, like I said, that's going to keep
off very good
on Ohio. The game I like in the MAC and college football is tomorrow night. I'm all over that Miami, Ohio side, plus the points against Toledo. Toledo stinks as a road favorite, like really bad, constantly really bad as a road favorite. And I like Miami O as a dog with Chuck Martin. Miami O as a dog with that defense at home, and with DeQuan Finn revenge, trying to beat his old team. He started his career years ago with Toledo and was their quarterback. DeQuan Finn, he's going to want to play well against his old team. So, yeah, I like Miami O quite a bit against Toledo Wednesday night in college football action. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks to everybody. Hit the like button on the way out. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And remember, members-only edition of the Hitting the Books show tomorrow on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace. Thanks.